They become such a pivotal part of the game, I don't even remember the last time I've truly played without them. It's weak auras, and they're a really fun tool to have and can help you out, improve your gameplay little by little. But instead of just having to download them from your favorite streamer because it's what they use, why not create your own? My name's Coyote, and I'm going to show you the basics of weak auras today, so let's get to it.
Stupid Coyote.
Weak auras have been a very big pivotal part to the game for some time now. I don't know the history of it, and I've tried looking it up, but things are a little shaky, but they are a great way for you to improve your gameplay. You can have things that alert you of certain boss mechanics, let something know when it's targeting you. It's like deadly boss mods, but it can be more specific. Now, I usually use them just to help me with either certain mechanics that I need to avoid, or I actually track certain abilities with it. For instance, if we look right now to my Druid video right here, I actually had a weak aura that I grabbed from somebody. This is normally what I do, and then I start tweaking it to my advantage. I'm going to show you a couple tools that you'll need that are going to be really helpful for this right now. First off, your major tool, if you're going to be downloading them, maybe you don't want to create any. Maybe you're just downloading weak auras for the first time. Well, Wago is your site for all of this. And like I said, there's a lot of things here. When I was in college, a lot of people said, hey, look, if you're going to learn programming, understand that a lot of it's copying other people's code and modifying it to fit what you need. And talking to a few programmers, that's apparently what they do. But here is where you can get all sorts of ones, whether it's for retail, season of discovery, hardcore, it's all right here. It's a great little resource to find certain ones you're looking for. You can just search up here in the top of the search bar, and you're going to be able to find out. Now, it is a little bit janky in how you search, because sometimes when you search up, let's say you're looking for an arcane mage weak aura, and it may just end up pulling you from retail. So normally when I try to search up weak auras specifically, instead of using Wago's search bar, it can be kind of annoying. I usually just do it this way. I do weak auras, and then let's do Feral Druid, because I know there's one for this. Feral Druid. Now you can automatically see that you have Wrath of the Lich King, Shadowlands, Dragonflight, Season of Discovery. So we'll come down here, weak aura, Feral Druid, Season of Discovery, search, Druid, Feral, Season. Click right there, and it's going to bring it up, and it usually brings up a little moniker up here, and it'll tell you where you're searching. So it'll have feral or anything like that, and then check right here, and it'll show you what it looks like. Not the one I use. I got mine from Meat Slab. This is really good. Your next major tool is going to be Wowhead or Icy Veins itself. All right, they actually are really good about sometimes updating different abilities in there. With Wowhead, all you're doing is looking for information, though. So that way, when you create whenever you're creating a weak aura, you can find certain information out there. Now, retail's got a nice little thing. I think it's actually rather annoying. It's called a weak aura's export, which just does a blanket of the ability. Not my kind of thing. It'll make a basic weak aura that you can already pre-customize in the game, and I'm going to show you that here in a bit. On the Season of Discovery side, we don't really have that option. Now, I've done a lot of my own little thing where I go in and I drop comments for the spell IDs in there. So if you see Catastrophic on there, that's my retail version name. I do my best to come in there and add spell IDs for people who, like me, like to create our own weak auras. Our final tool that's super helpful that I'm going to tell you right now, if you already use ELVUI, it's already like a little in-custom feature, but if you're like me in the classic version and I really enjoy the basic layout, I highly recommend getting ID Tip, all right? It shows up all the tooltips, your information you're going to need. For instance, if I use Arcane Power or Arcane Intellect, it tells you right there, spell ID 1461. So I can create an aura that tells me if I'm missing spell ID 1461. Using these three tools, you're going to be able to create any amount of weak auras. What they do is dependent on you. Before we get into creating them, I'm going to show you how to actually just import them real quick. Maybe you got them from Wago or you got them from your favorite streamer. It's pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to get the import string. Copy import string. Now we're going to go to the game. Up here on the top, you see import, and you're going to paste it. It's going to import Barney Raid Kit. It's the one I already had. I just deleted it and did that so I could show you. Import it. See all the stuff that's coming in, and it's there. If you try to import it, let's say there's an update to it. This is something useful to know. You can just come down here and you just want to update it. If there's any new updates, it's going to keep the same auras, but it'll modify any existing ones that are out of date. Maybe a timer's off. Maybe there's a new mechanic, new way to avoid a certain mechanic. It's one of your best ways you can do that. Now that we got it, I'm going to show you how to create weak auras a basic way and a little bit more complex way. Now, this is only just to teach you the nitty-gritty. This isn't to show you how to make an advanced weak aura that'll track everything. No, these are just the ones and twos of different things that I like to do. So for starters, we're going to create a mana bar for my mage. So, love my shortcuts, / weak aura brings up the menu, and it's really good. And you can see I already have some. I've got the Barney Raid kit that I talked about for my Black Fathom Deeps guide video. Right here, pre-made auras. Really good little thing. So I can create a progress bar and design it whether I want it to be horizontal or vertical. Since mana bars are already horizontal, click on it. And I'm going to come down to resources. It's the only resource we need is mana, and boop. And that creates a mana bar right there. All I did was just minimize the window. Here's where you can kind of place it. I love that they've actually started bringing out the anchor lines. This wasn't a feature when I first started playing with weak auras, but now it kind of helps out to keep everything. I like my stuff to be symmetrical. Don't know why, I just do. So right there allows me to create it. Now I can customize this bar to be any form that I want it to be. So sometimes I'll drag my window out here, and I can come here and pick the bar color. If you need this information on what this color is, you can either find it online or something like that, but I'll just go with a dark blue kind of to match it. Looks like it right there. You hit OK, and now it matches my mana bar. Now this perfectly tracks my mana bar right here. I can modify it even more by what kind of text options I want, what other settings that it has with it, and that is a basic way to make a weak aura. It's just new aura, pre-made auras. Super simple. This is actually how I usually start when I make weak auras. I just start from a pre-made, and then I work my way backwards, but that's a little bit more complex. Now that I'm back to playing Arcane, I've got one of my favorite ruins in the game right now, which is Missile Barrage, but there's no indicator other than up here in the top corner of my screen when I have it. So I don't know that I have a Missile Barrage or even a clear casting proc like I just got there. Now I've got Missile Barrage, but I wouldn't know it. So I'm going to create a Missile Barrage one from the start. I need to know the spell ID 400589. So we're going to do that. Come back to weak auras. And I like the little spark model. Sometimes it works really well. We're going to give it a name. We're going to call it MB Proc. I try to keep my stuff super simple. All right. So keeping it, the more simpler it is, the easier off you are. You're going to have to come down to trigger, and you're going to look for exact spell ID. Now, you can also type in the name, but just like with the macro, as I talked in my macro video linked above, if you don't have the exact spell name, it kind of works out. That's why I like to go with spell ID. So we're going to type in 400589, boop, and it automatically pulls up. So now, for this to activate, I have for this to activate, the trigger has to be boop, and we're gonna probably take a couple 40% chance. Nope. Spider Silk. There I go, and that tells me I have the proc, and now I can cast it. This is actually a great tool to help you out with your rotations and stuff like that, so you can min-max yourself to greatness if that is your goal in the game. But that is a more complex way. Now, with these weak auras, I also highly recommend, no matter which one you create, you come over here to the load option. This is kind of like a little side tip. And I always try to make sure mine are in combat if they're combat ones, or they're set for certain player classes. Missile Barrage, I'm not too worried about it procking out on other classes that aren't mage, but maybe there's a potion that you need to use, like a free action potion or something like that. But you don't need it if you're a druid, because you can shapeshift, so you can actually ignore certain classes. The load button is a great way. This gets a little bit more complex the deeper you go into this. Like I said, this is just a basic view. You can get certain conditions. If you were actually to see some of my retail weak auras, it looks like a minefield of different things. But It's actually not that complex. I always just recommend playing around with it. Go find you a giant zone full of enemies that you can easily fight and start working on them. And that's where you're going to build this stuff up from. This is a very basic intro to weak ores, all right? There's more complex videos out there of crazy things. I actually have several weak ores that play sounds. If you want to see or hear about that, let me know and I'll create a video just for you to do that. It's a super fun thing. Weak ores are an awesome thing in the game. They are a little over-abused in certain situations. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if there's something that you think I missed out on, or if you dislike the video, leave a comment. Tell me why you don't like it. I want to hear from you. My name's Coyote, and as always, happy adventures.
Stupid coyote.